finding perimeter again of certain rooms. There's rooms that are marked off A, B, C, all the way up to G.
32 plus 8. 40 plus 8 more. 48. There you go. 5x minus 2. And then we can do that. We can take away the
Second point, 2? Yeah.
minus 2.
Algebra 1 ends up being a gateway course. A lot of the research that has been done, there's a strong correlation between students not being successful in Algebra 1 and not actually graduating from high school.
So the perimeter of their house, that's where they're going to build their actual house.
Then why do you have the whole space?
Because you need like a front yard, maybe like a side alley, stuff like that, right?
Oh, okay.
So Calixto, 200 feet, I minus the 20, and I got 60. 500, I got 50.
Wait, but why'd you use 500?
150. Oh.
Yeah, 150, not 500.
Oh.
Okay, small mistake, right?
Yeah.
Remember, it's all the way around. Okay.
Intensified algebra was developed in response to a need identified by the Urban Math Leadership Network. The double-period curriculum was designed to bring ninth grade students who were previously unsuccessful in math up to grade level. Two key components of the curriculum are professional development for teachers and students working in teams.
No, because you just have to look at this. It's the final answer.
I'm taking them.
I was really bad at math. I really didn't know how to do like quadratic or fractions. Yeah, I was really bad at it.
I was really good at it at first. Like I understand what was I doing because it's like 7th and 8th grade stuff, and I really know how to do it. But like later on, like lessons have been passing by, like I start getting confused and it's getting complicated and it's like even more challenging.
It's a model that rather than the teacher showing students how to do a particular type of problem, explaining a particular mathematical idea, you kind of reverse it.
Okay, so this is simplifying and combining it equals 4x. So literally everything else has to equal this.
You put students in the driver's seat as they investigate with their partner.
Like what exactly number can you use? I think you should do this part first because you have variables here too. This one? Yeah. I usually talk about everything. I usually come in the morning, I'm like, I don't get it. And to find the equations from the table, that's a little bit hard for me because like if it's like 0, the x is 0 and the y it's some different number, then I can get that. But if it's like 2 different numbers, it's not 0, that's a little hard to try to me to get it. And she explains it to me and then we get the equation.
Maria's doing great now. She struggled her whole first semester. She was after school tutoring for a lot of the time first semester, but now she's kind of getting things on her own and even explaining things to Anna a little bit better, and it's usually the opposite.
Well, yeah, I now I get it because you don't know.
Yeah, because when I did this, I brought it down with it.
No, because this and this and this 4x, and then this is negative 2, right?
With heterogeneous groups, the more higher achieving students learned just as much as the students that weren't necessarily as high achieving. They're having to refine the way that they're explaining it to another student. And then the student that's receiving is also pressure testing their own understanding of what they're hearing.
Math students learning from each other as a core educational strategy dates back to Bob Moses' algebra project in the 1980s.
Bob Moses' work really speaks to providing equal opportunities for rigorous mathematics courses to underrepresented populations. This ends up being really the civil rights, battle of our era, and that is to give every student an equal opportunity to a high-quality education in mathematics. So I'd like to think the class that I taught in 2007 is a snapshot of that.
What squared gives you 4? What squared gives you
1x, 4 of those. And then they want 8 times, but it can only be 4, and whatever's left.
Put the 4.
And then 4 be left, which means that'll actually be
So it's
x plus 4
x
times
plus 2. it's gonna be x plus
Because you can't add
this
them all.
side and then
I
x
give you
plus 2 on that side.
plus 4.
Then I want you to turn this into vertex form. So if I don't give you these tiles, will we have a problem? Yes, no, maybe?
We have a problem, but it's gonna take more work.
So Shamika, what's your solution if we don't have these tiles on our test? You can draw it out? Okay, so you can draw it out. That's great. We could draw it out. Okay, so what if I didn't give you, say, okay, I'd say, Shamika, you're so good at drawing. What's so funny?
You ain't gonna draw it.
You're not gonna draw 1,045 X's? No? You don't want me to give you 1,045 X tiles?
No.
So then what do you think we need to be able to do eventually at some point to be able to convert? Learn how to do it in our head. So then,
Find perfect square.
Amari,
Perfect squares.
you can do it in perfect squares.
You can find the perfect square 25 and then keep it in that form. And after you keep it in that form, you can find out later what it'll be.
You can use quadratic form. Okay, use quadratic form because it also gives you the square. It'd be like square root.
In this format right here, you started to realize that there is this perfect square that's sitting right there. And you guys are saying, we need this perfect square. You start to orchestrate a lesson, but you're flexible enough that the way that students respond help to navigate the lesson. And then the students pick pieces of the learning to build kind of their schema of understanding. And the teacher's role then is to capitalize on those bits and kind of cogitate and synthesize the ideas.
So you checked the numbers that were inside the radical, right?
Yeah.
What about the number outside?
They didn't put the parentheses. You see, in the beginning.
What was really unique to our program, we felt, was the strong professional development component. Teachers were able to talk and address some of these things about effort and what do you do when students fail a test.
We were just reviewing quadratics today. So they first just explored why quadratic equations even exist through like this water balloon problem. And so they just watched data being collected over time and how high the water balloon was and then how it eventually fell. And then we explored those values in a table and they found that there was a second constant value and now they're finding x-intercepts. And we were just talking about like the discriminant and students were enjoying that more because they found when there was a negative discriminant, they could just stop the problem because then they knew that there was no x-intercept. And it was cool to just hear them talking. Like I heard one student like, oh, the parabola is starting up too high. And then they were even graphing it and showing each other. So it just shows that they're really making those connections.
Are you guys still gonna give the test tomorrow?
I am, and I'm looking forward to grading them because I feel like, the students who've been here are very successful.
Yeah.
One of the questions is find the maximum area based on the given dimensions. And it leading to a quadratic equation that was like, oh my God, you guys are doing junior material now.
Freshman year, which is amazing.
Yeah.
At least have a really good foundation.
To be able to actually like.
Teachers have to be the ones who say, this is what we need, this is what we want. And I've been looking for a program like this. In some schools, teachers are under so much pressure. There's so many things that they have to do. They're not willing to take on or add another thing to their plate, especially if they know that, well, it's only going to be supported for 2 years. And so they're looking back at historically CPS supporting a program, and then there's no more funding for it. And with this program, teachers were able to have feedback, which is really different than a regular textbook that you just adopt. Teachers were able to have feedback. They could say, this lesson works, this lesson doesn't work, and the developers would go back and fix it or change it.
We find these teacher focus groups really valuable in terms of letting us know what's working and what's not working. Do you find that they're going back to specific representations?
They always go back to the skateboarder, and when he stands still, it's like a flat line. I had some students who really struggle, but when that skateboarder came on the screen, they were on it.
Our kids here, 85% of them come below math reading levels, and they're always checking on our math scores. Every single year, that's like our nightmare. So that's how you raise your scores, by like truly having the tools that you need in that class for the students to succeed.
And the way they work together is crazy. It's like I never have to go by them, because every time I pass by them, it's always like, no, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do this. No. And they're both like fighting over like which way is correct. And I just let them go at it.
Like so many kids, I think, would just not even try. You know, because it's also so like ego. It preserves your ego. Oh, I didn't even do it. Like rather than I tried it and I failed.
Taking a risk, right?
Right.
One of the standards for mathematical practice with Common Core is, that students should persist in solving problems. I think you've touched on this a little bit.
I use whiteboards, just having them write out all their work on the whiteboard, and once they get it correct, then they can write the final result with their work in their packets. And I feel like that's really helped with just persisting, like swipe, try again.
That's the biggest thing, is like a lot of the kids that buy into it are really willing to try, and just if you get it wrong, you get it wrong, and that's fine. I think now a lot of those kids know that.
Try it. It's not always going to work the first try, okay?
I think you're getting the right idea, but you're doing one thing wrong.
Why'd you do this part? Why'd you add another 20?
No, this.
All right, think about it a little bit and tell me what the problem's going to be if you add these two 20s there.
And at Roosevelt, geometry teachers were saying that the students from intensified algebra from the previous year were actually the leaders in their classroom. They were not afraid to try problems that they didn't understand. And testing that's going to be going on nationally is requiring students to problem solve, to think. And intensified algebra provides a basis for that. It provides tasks that are high cognitive.
Intensified algebra is in only 5 of about 82 Chicago neighborhood schools.
Our grant is ending in August. Because double period algebra is resource intensive, that's in danger of going away.
Hopefully CPS will start providing funding so more schools can do this.
I used to not like it, but right now I'm kind of do. I do like it a little more than I used to, because I didn't get it as much, but right now I do.
I personally used to hate it, because I used to get mad that I didn't get it, so I didn't actually put as much effort as I do in my other classes. But I get interested in what we're learning, and I actually try.
That's why they got the square root of 4, which is 2. That's why they did that.
All right, I'm very good.